I think most of us at some point in time, if not most times in our lives, are unsure of what we should be doing. And I know sometimes people get paralyzed by that, and it stops them from doing anything. And what I have realized is that indecision is also making a decision, and that when you are frozen in the moment and you choose not to do anything, that's one of the most dangerous positions to put yourself in, because then you're essentially handing your control and your decision making over to someone else, whether that's YouTube or Facebook or the television or whatever is going on the internet, or you're simply leaving it up to the other people around you. When you don't make a decision and when you don't take action, I think that's when you're the most vulnerable. Because when you decide to just take action, to stand up for yourself and to make a step in a direction, even if you're not sure it's the right direction, when you do that, you're at least taking that responsibility on yourself, and you're owning it and you're acknowledging it. And I think it's a powerful thing that you can do, is make a commitment first and foremost to yourself. Make a commitment to yourself and then follow through with that commitment. I know Stephen M.R. Covey wrote a book called The Speed of Trust, and he said the way that you establish trust is by making commitments and then fulfilling them. And every time you say you're going to do something and then you check it off your list and you actually have done it, then someone else knows that they can trust you. Well, that's got to start somewhere, and that's got to start with you. And you have to learn that you can trust yourself and that you can trust your own judgment. I know when I was still very sick and just coming out of the hospital, my body was weak. I really struggled with what I was able to do. And when all of my kids, come the fall, when all of my kids went back to school, so many people around me were saying, oh, you should just stay in bed, you should rest, you should just take care of yourself and your body. And while all those things are true to a certain extent, there's also something very real that happens when we take ourselves out of the picture and remove ourselves from our grander world, from being part of something bigger than us. And what I found was when I did that, I started feeling more and more down. I started feeling more and more hopeless. And the more I felt that way, the less comfortable I was with then trying to socially engage with people. And so the more time I spent away and by myself and thinking about myself, the more unhappy my life became. And so the thing that I found that finally made the switch for me from feeling vulnerable and sick and out of control was when I started making those commitments to myself. And for me, what that looked like was I signed up to be a volunteer at my kids' school, so that when my kids were being dropped off at school, it was time for me to show up as well. So rather than feeling like, oh, I'm going to go home and just crawl back in bed and not do anything, I had a reason to get out of bed. I had a reason to be ready. And even if the only thing I did when I showed up was make copies or cut things out of paper, I at least knew that I had a purpose and that someone was counting on me. And I didn't want to let them down. So when I made that little commitment, that 45-minute volunteer assignment to show up in my kids' classroom, then I did it. And when I did it, it became easier to do the next time, and the next time, and the next time. And then I found it really gave me so much more sense of personal fulfillment when I had a little something that I felt like I could contribute to someone else. Because I think we feel value when we can be part of something bigger than ourselves. We feel value when we're contributing to making the world a better place, when we're making lives better for our children, for the people in our community, for the people in the greater world. But if we're focused the whole time on whatever our struggle is, that is a slippery slope to very negative personal feelings and mental health struggles. So the best thing you can do for yourself is to make commitments to show up, and show up for yourself consistently, and then start showing up for others. Show up, show up, show up. One day at a time. You are not going to conquer your challenge all at once. In fact, you may never conquer your challenge, but you can learn to endure it, and to endure it well. And by doing little things day after day after day, you come to realize that you can still feel just as fulfilled, if not more so, and have every bit as good a life even when you do go through things and challenges that you didn't think you knew how to face. The hardest part, what requires 99% grit, is that first step, choosing a direction, choosing which way to step. And you might not even know if you're right. But if you take responsibility for yourself and you make that step in a direction and you choose, more times than not, you'll know. You'll have an inner voice. You'll have an inner feeling. You'll have a sense from a higher power, from your God, that will say either, yes, this is the direction you should be going in, or nope, you need to pivot and turn. But you can't even get that message until you first make a decision and step. So I guess what it comes down to is we're all going to face difficult things over and over and over again in our lives. And part of getting through that is owning it, embracing it, taking those steps in choosing our direction, and then showing up day after day after day. You're not going to get better all at once. You're not going to get through something all at once. Nothing is going to take away the time and the process that is required to heal, or that is required to get through a difficult situation. But by showing up consistently, you will find one day at a time that you're getting there. And before you know it, you're going to look back and you're going to be able to say, yeah, I did that. I got through that, and I'm better and I'm stronger for it. And now I know I'll be able to handle that next time.